Hello everyone, we are Team 1 and today we'll be presenting a comparison between Starbucks and Coffee Bean to determine which company is more ethical and also to give recommendation to each company. Starbucks started on March 13, 1971 and till date they have 346 employees across 79 countries. As recorded in 2020, there are a total of 125 stores located in Singapore. Coffee Bean started in 1963. As per record, they do have 12,000 employees across 32 countries. Till date, they do have 61 stores located in Singapore. Now, let me explain to you why we choose these three culture dimensions to assess which company is more ethical for our presentation today. Firstly, environmental impact. Being environmental friendly help to preserve natural resources, reduce costs incurred and ensure sustainability of the business. Consumer view such businesses in a positive light and thus able to develop brand identity and to improve the brand reputation overall. Secondly, anti-discrimination culture. Discrimination in an organization affects the employees' motivation, their productivity and efficiency. Such situation induce a negative impact on employees' morale and could leave emotional scar. Anti-discrimination culture help to reduce costs resulting from turnover, absenteeism, and hiring of new employees. Lastly, sourcing of coffee bean. It will have a positive impact on farmers' life. As such, it could improve on their standard of living. This way also ensure that the environment is treated in a sustainable way and the workers are provided a generous and highly livable wages. Now I will pass on the time to my friend to talk more in depth into each cultural dimension.
2008, Starbucks pledged to make 100% recyclable paper cups and sell 20% of their drinks in reusable cups by 2015. Starbucks failed to produce a 100% recyclable paper cup, and only 16% of their drinks sold are consumed in non-disposable cups or mugs, and they also face various complaints. Looking at Coffee Bean, formally they claim to have practices to reduce waste and taking meaningful actions to create solutions together. Informally, they were praised to set an example as a forward-thinking company while making a difference on one location at a time for greater good of the environment. Their Malaysia outlets also use reusable cutlery in store and wooden and biodegradable cutlery for the takeaway orders. This could be due to the difference in their business approaches to CSR. So for Starbucks, they advertise explicitly on their websites about how committed they are to contributing back to the society. This is to make them stand out from the rest of the competitors, and perhaps it could have been just to gain a competitive advantage because Starbucks is well known for their CSR initiatives and being a reputable brand, and yet customers could not find out about this misalignment of formal and informal systems. Whereas for Coffee Bean, they did not emphasize a lot on building competitive advantage from their sustainability effort, and hence they sincerely want to fulfill the social responsibility as what they have promised to do for the environment. Starbucks, following the act utilitarianism, did not really care about meeting the goals established, but rather focus on a short-term consequence, which is to build strong reputation fast. And with better reputation, there is a need for them to provide better services to the customers, and hence creating greater costs for greater numbers. Whereas for Coffee Bean, they are focused more on the long-term consequence, which is having positive impact on the environment. As a result, they are able to sustain resources for future generations, creating greater costs for greater number too. Therefore, the formal and informal systems are misaligned for Starbucks and aligned for Coffee Bean.
Next, we'll be comparing the anti-discriminatory culture in Starbucks and Coffee Bean. Formally, Starbucks claimed to be committed to uphold a culture of inclusion, diversity, and equality. They set out to create a community with respect at its core and have a zero-tolerance policy for harassment of any kind. They are dedicated to create not just opportunity, but equal opportunity for their employees. In 2008, Starbucks announced that they have achieved 100% pay equity for women and people of all races performing similar work in the US. However, on the informal side, Current and former transgender employees of Starbucks said that they have been dead-named and have difficulties accessing gender-affirming medical treatment under the Starbucks insurance policies. An article published by Boston Globe also revealed that there is a wage gap between black and white baristas. This and many other events raise the controversy that Starbucks are faking their support and are only concerned when it helps their bottom line. Moving on, formally, Coffee Bean also claimed to be committed to equal employment opportunity. Employees were hired and promoted based on merits and have to undergo a mandatory training to help them embrace diversity. The Code of Conduct also expressly prohibits any form of employee harassment or discrimination in the workplace. This claim was substantiated when a barista refused to serve a racist man and kicked him out of the store. Coffee Bean's management praised the employee, displaying a strong culture of anti-discrimination that exists in both the top and bottom level of the organization. We have looked at two ethical theories for analysis on the company's anti-discriminatory culture. Firstly, looking at the humanity principle by Immanuel Kant, Starbucks seemed to treat their employees as mere means to generate profits, whereas Coffee Bean respects and prioritizes employees' well-being. Secondly, looking at the principle of equal liberty by John Rawls, many LGBT employees in Starbucks seems to be deprived of the freedom of association, being dead-named and such. On the other hand, Coffee Bean's employees were treated with respect and are granted familiar basic rights such as the freedom of speech and freedom of association. Overall, for Starbucks, formal and informal sources do not align. On the other hand, for Coffee Bean, formal and informal sources are aligned.
We now move on to our third parameter, the ethics in the sourcing of coffee beans. Formally, Starbucks has maintained that it follows coffee and farmer equity guidelines and is fair trade certified. On the social responsibility scale, they claim to protect the rights of workers, provide adequate living conditions, comply with the indicators for minimum wage requirements, and address child labor, forced labor, and discrimination. However, the informal line tells us a different story. On a Starbucks plantation, workers reported dead bats and mice in their food, no sanitation systems, and workdays that stretched from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. In addition, the payment system was rigged, and the coffee they picked disappeared before it could be tallied. Moving on to formal systems in the coffee bean and tea leaf. Coffee bean and tea leaf invest in programs that care for their farmers' well-being and train the next generation of growers to protect the environment. They do everything they can to leave the communities they source from a little better than they found them. Teaching sustainable business practices and providing free healthcare, financial loans, school, and daycare are just a few ways they've been making a difference around the world. Informally too, Coffee Bean upholds their promise. When seeking new origin suppliers, they select farmers who engage in their local communities and pay premiums for those beans so that social initiatives can be undertaken to improve the lives of everyone in that community. The ethical concept we chose to apply here is that of global standards in CSR under the UN Global Impact. Out of all the principles we've chosen, 3 for analysis. The principles are to respect and support internationally recognized human rights in your area of influence, to ensure that your company does not participate in any way in the violation of human rights, and to eliminate all forms of forced or compulsory labor. Starbucks chose to violate this and made a mockery of human rights in their area of business. Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, on the other hand, had a very clearly established set of guidelines that they follow and stuck to them. All of the above leads us to believe that the formal and informal systems are not aligned in Starbucks, while they are aligned in the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, something we address in our recommendations.
Next, I'll be presenting our recommendations. In looking at Starbucks' environmental problems, we realize that higher management has been largely ignoring this issue. We recommend that they use a similar strategy as Coffee Bean, which is to adopt a loyalty discount program for customers that gives a 5-10% discount on drinks when customers bring in their own Starbucks branded tumblers. This serves 3 purposes. Number 1, increases tumbler sales. Number 2, it increases customer loyalty and drink sales. And number 3, when they bring their own tumblers, lesser plastic cups will actually be used and hence reducing on plastic wastage. With this, environments actually improve while increasing revenue. Next, in looking at anti-discriminatory culture, we realize that employees actually lack self-ownership of their own behavior as the main problem. We recommend that Starbucks actually solve this problem by enacting a bonus system that targets ethical behavior ratings. 4 employees should be given a review by managers and peers and vice versa. This peer review will be conducted biannually, and a portion of annual bonus will be given out based on these ratings. Employees with poor ratings will actually be given reduced bonus and have further investigations by HR department from Starbucks. Overall, this will help increase self-ownership and improve ethical behavior. Lastly, in sourcing of coffee beans, Starbucks actually has failed poorly as checks are actually done too infrequently on partner farms. To solve these, Starbucks should increase frequency of checks and make it more stringent. These checks should be done without prior notice to prevent farms from hiding bad practices. Interviews should be conducted with farm workers during this time to actually ensure that they actually have a balanced overview of farm activities. This will help to reduce on unethical behaviors by farm owners. Next, for coffee bean, they actually has done very well in environmental impact, but they are still using large amount of plastic cups and hence should aim to reduce and convert to 100% recyclable cups to help improve environmental impacts. In looking at anti-discriminatory culture, coffee bean has actually done little as incidents are actually very low. So we realized that this is due to franchisee owners having a self-ownership of their own stalls. But as coffee bean grows bigger, the selection process relating to franchisee owners will likely loosen, and hence it's important that their franchisee selections remain stringent. Coffee bean should actually conduct regular spot checks on employee ethical behaviors as well. Lastly, in sourcing of coffee bean has actually done well in sourcing it ethically, but to ensure that this doesn't deteriorate in the future, coffee bean should enact and utilize the cafe regulation that's used in Starbucks, and also recommendations that's similar to Starbucks as well. And with that, I'll pass my time over to the next person. Thank you.
In conclusion, after assessing both companies, we realized that Coffee Bean is more of an upper hand in regards to their ethical practices compared to Starbucks. As my friend had mentioned in the above slide for recommendations, we hope both companies could consider our recommendation and to improve their ethical practice. Good ethics should not stop when they achieve a certain result. They should continue to push for improvement and to be ethical, sustainable as and when they are still in the market.